So again, welcome back, CME students, to day one of week 3 in our summer program. Today we are blessed to have a person who not only is an advocate and an ally for CME, but an integral part of how we operate, especially when it comes to the academic side of making sure that you all are right, especially on the English side. So today we have Mr. Patrick Cobbs, our very own CME English reading and writing tutor. Just like last week, we had Mr. Joseph Kennedy. You all know Joseph Kennedy came by. He is our CME math tutor. Likewise, Patrick Cobbs is our CME English tutor. Today, he's going to present to you real quick about how he works, about how he will work with you, and answer any questions you might have about college English. So without further ado, I present to you Mr. Patrick Cobbs.
All right. Thank you so much, Corey. It's so good to see you all. Thank you, Shane and Al, too. It's great to see you guys. And all you guys who are new to the CME, I cannot wait to meet you, hopefully in person soon. But in any way, I'm looking forward to meeting all of you and working with you. As Corey was saying, I am an English tutor, probably the main English tutor at CME, just because that's where I get scheduled a lot of the time, and I've done that for the last several years, I think 7 years, and I love it. It is really always one of the best times of my day, and definitely a highlight in my life. So I'm really blessed to be involved with this program and have been for a long time, and I'm looking forward to a new year, even though it's going to be a little weird because we're probably going to be a bit distanced again this year, although I'm hoping that we're going to have some in-person time too. Either way, though, we can work together, and I hope we will work together a lot on English. And I thought I'd spend a little bit of time just talking with you all about kind of just some basics about college English and college writing. And it won't take that long, and then maybe we can have a little conversation about it if anyone's got any thoughts or questions, either after I do a little short PowerPoint or even during it. If anybody thinks of anything as I'm talking, please just pipe up, and I'd love to talk about whatever you want to talk about. But I thought I'd let you know what I'd talk about today, and I know we're going to meet again tomorrow, and I can tell you a bit about what we'll do then too. So again, basics of some college English today. Tomorrow, I thought we'd talk about ways to access the different versions of help you can get with English and other topics at CCP. So I think I will, if it's all right with you guys, share my screen and put a little PowerPoint on. Let's see if I can figure out how to do this. Right. Can you guys see that PowerPoint? Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
All right, let me adjust my view here. Cool. All right. So this is just basics about me. Who am I? My name is Patrick Cobbs. I'm an adjunct English teacher. That means I'm a part-time English teacher, but mostly I'm a tutor. And I mostly work for CME. And that's my contact information there, my email and my cell number. You all can copy that down. And I will also put it in the chat a bit later. Whoops. Sorry about that. Let me go back. So if you need that at any point, if you want to call me or email me about any thoughts that you might have, questions you might have, work you're doing, having to do with writing, I'm going to be eager to get that contact and talk with you. Feel free to text me too. In fact, text can be a great way to set up times to work together, but don't be in the habit of doing lots of work over text when it comes to writing, because it is actually difficult for doing the work. So when it comes to setting up ways to get together, ways to meet, that's actually really efficient. And but then we'll kind of move out of texting when it comes to doing work for writing. I'll just sort of start with this. The title of this session was Blueprint for Writing. And that's just sort of some general ideas about college writing and what you want to think about as we're heading into it and kind of going to be immersed in it for the next couple of years. So this is an important fact. Writing is about 25 to 50% of your grade in the first 2 years of college. Now that doesn't mean that English is 25 to 50% of your grade in the first 2 years of college, but it means that about that much work, 25 to 50% of your work in those first 2 years is going to be writing oriented. And you'll have writing in lots of courses outside of English. English too, of course, but courses outside of English like sociology, psychology, things like that will be heavy in writing too. And the writing will be a little bit different focused for every course and a little bit different focused for every English course. But there are some universals in college writing that we can kind of get used to that will show up in every course. And this is a big part of transitioning from high school writing to college writing, is getting used to the patterns of those kind of demands for college, for what college writing is. It's important to remember this because it's going to take practice. And that's really a big part of what we're going to do together, is sort of get trained for what we need to do in college writing. Let's see. I can't seem to, I see Dequarius Elmore is trying to get in. Can anybody admit him? My mouse.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, cool. Thanks. All right. So writing is a big thing in college. Whoops. But there are some truths, right? We're all writers. And if we look at writing in general, writing is really a form of kind of fairly, well, I don't know if it's strict, but it's fairly rule-oriented, or more like expectation-oriented linear communication. So when we write, we're aiming to communicate in a really linear fashion. There's a beginning, there's a middle, there's an end. But there's a million kinds of writing, right? There's poetry, there's rap, there's rock music, there's college writing, there's expository writing, there's persuasive writing, there's millions of kinds. Each one of them have different focuses and different expectations. And when we're doing college writing, we're just doing one kind, or really kind of a narrow band of certain kinds of writing with certain shared expectations. We are all practicing other forms of writing in our everyday lives. Whether it comes to sort of fairly simplistic things like just writing a note to our roommates or our parents or something like that about what we need to do, or really complicated stuff like creating music, like creating anything, almost anything creative. And telling stories even is a form of writing, even if they're oral stories. It's very much that linear communication pattern, which is very, very hand in hand with the writing skills that are important, not just in college, but throughout life. And so we're all there, but we all also need practice to be efficient at certain writing tasks that we'll be asked to do in college and in life later on. So that practice is important. And we want to get really used to this idea that we're just going to try to kind of get in a training pattern for writing where we're used to being taking practice time, every week while we're in college, maybe every day a little bit. So writing improves with practice. This is a great thing about it. You can really notice the improvement if you keep that practice up over time. Another thing that's really interesting about writing, and it's really useful if you're trying to kind of get high grades, is it's got this developmental fashion. So that means that we do better, every writer does better in writing if we work on that thing more than once. So if we just sit down and say, okay, I'm going to bang this thing out for a half an hour and then be done with it, okay, we might get something good. But if we let that thing develop like a stew, if we let it kind of cook in its own juices and our own thoughts for a couple of days. And we come back to it and we work on it a little bit each day. We do a little rereading. We do a little rewriting. We develop it. Then our writing gets really good. And if we get in that habit of always doing that development, then our writing will always be strong. And this is something that you can see instantly. You can see it within the span of a week. So it's a great practice for us to be in the practice of developing our writing every time we get an assignment. If we feel, and a lot of people feel this way, I felt this way when I was a freshman in college, like we're not writers or like we're not confident in our writing. That's how I felt. And I often still feel that way in certain kinds of writing. We need to remind ourselves all the time that we can get there. It's a matter of focusing and practice and engaging with help along the way. And it's not just people who are coming to college. It's not just you or any one of you. It's me too. I'm 50 years old. I've been involved in an intense way with writing for the better part of 30 years or more. And I still lose my confidence in the writing that I have to do all the time. Lately, I've been feeling really bad about some writing work that I've been doing, but I have to train myself and tell myself, you can do this. This is part of what writing is. You practice it, you engage with it, you let it develop, and then you'll start to do better and feel better about the work. So that's going to be a big part of what I'm going to emphasize when I work with you all, is letting your writing develop. Because if you give it its space and you give it the energy that it needs, you will be pleased. I guarantee that. Those are some truths about writing in general. These are some kind of general things about the difference between college writing and high school writing. In college writing, there's an emphasis on a balanced point of view, a balanced sound to your writing. In high school writing, you'd be a little bit more apt to be talking in your own voice, in your own opinion. In college, you tend to kind of you can still use your opinion, but you want it to be fair along the way. So it's that fair or balanced voice. And then there's this pattern where we often use a claim. We start with a claim. I believe this set of ideas to be true. And then we show evidence. And then we explain how that evidence proves the claim. In college writing, we follow that pattern over and over and over again in many different ways. Claim, evidence, and the explanation of a proof. And that is going to be one of the biggest things that we're going to learn in college and struggle with to sort of see where that's happening. How are we seeing a claim in this paragraph, evidence in this paragraph, an explanation of proof in this paragraph? How are we seeing a claim in the beginning of this paper, and evidence in the middle of this paper, and an explanation of a proof at the end of this paper? You'll see that over and over and over again if you train yourself to look for it. And the easier you can see that stuff, the easier it will be for you to write that stuff and make that stuff up on your own. And then writing becomes much more pleasant to do once you're used to that pattern. And then there's also this emphasis on clarity, precision, and details in college. And that's one of the more nagging aspects of college writing. And that's where you see a lot of, crossed out lines, circles, suggestions, and writing on your paper from your professors. You might get more of that. You will get more of that almost certainly than you did in high school. And we just need to tell ourselves it's not meant to criticize us. It's meant just to emphasize this stuff, this clarity, precision, and detail, to try to lift up our writing. So those are three things we want to get used to in college writing. That there's this emphasis on a balanced voice, this pattern of claim, evidence, and explanation of proof, and another emphasis on clarity, precision, and details. We'll talk about this stuff a million times over the semester, but I want you to kind of get a little bit of an exposure to that now. Let's see. All right. Why is this not going forward? There we go. So logically, right? all these things are going to be true about college writing, right? They're new, it's demanding, it's meant to be developed over time, which means it takes time, and it's a large percentage of your grade. All these factors mean that it's logical that everybody in college should plan out their writing and not do it last minute. Now that's logical, but it's not always what happens. A lot of the times, and I was part of this trend too when I was in college, we do things last minute. I'm going to emphasize, your coaches are going to emphasize not to do that, because your grade will improve and your level of satisfaction will improve if you plan out every one of your writing assignments. Trust me on that. That's going to be one of the biggest and most important things you can do. And it's totally within your power. Okay. So the other thing that's within your power is that everyone, not just people who feel like, oh, I need help on this one thing, everyone should use help. And the reason I know that this is true is because it was true for me and is still true for me as a 50-year-old writer. I, for about 7 years, had really intense tutoring help with writing, and it helped me just so much. And when I say intense, I mean every day of the week. I did tutoring to help with my writing, and it helped. I did this for years, and it helped me so much. We don't all need to do it every day of the week, but we should all engage with help at least like twice a week for college writing, because it will totally improve your skills and your writing and your satisfaction. As a 50-year-old who writes professionally whenever I can, I still get help. I still go to a writing group. I still use an editor. And so it's not something that is outside the realm of professionalism. You should not take it as an indictment or something negative that you're going to a tutor or a teacher or a student tutor or your coach for help with a piece of writing. This is what every professional writer does as well. We all need editors. We all need readers before we hand in a final product. So that's an important skill and comfort to develop as a college student when we go forward. Another important thing to focus on when we're doing writing, and this, it will be your friend if you make this part of your rhythm, is to approach every writing assignment with this process: think, write, read, revise. Okay, and we want to take that time to think at the beginning. What we do there is we take a real close look at what is the assignment, what is it asking us to do? What are the ways that we might be able to satisfy this assignment? Are there really interesting ways that we could satisfy this assignment that might make us, happy to be doing it, that might engage our curiosity? Are there surprising ways we could satisfy this assignment? Let's spend some time thinking about every assignment as soon as we get it. Then once we have a sense of how we want to do the assignment, we want to write on that assignment. Spend some time, the bulk of the time, writing a whole draft, not just the beginning, but a beginning, middle, and end. So after we think we write, then we want to read that thing and get some readers for it. So you read it if you're the writer, and then get a classmate to read it. Get me to read it. Get your coaches to read it. Somebody should read your writing before you go through the last process of this process to revise your writing, okay? So we revise it, we do a second draft, at least one more draft, right? At least a second draft, sometimes a third or fourth draft, through the revision process after we've gotten feedback from a reader. And this is a really powerful process to use in writing. If we follow this process, we will always come out with stronger papers than if we do it last minute. This is a process even deadline-oriented reporters follow this process. Even though they're doing it very quickly, they still follow this process. Let's see. So think, write, read, revise. We want to get in that habit. Tutors, me, I can help you along the way. I can help you at every part of this process. But the two best places for me to help you are in the thinking part of the process and in the reading part of the process, which leads to revising. I see that someone's got their hand up, but my mouse is not working to click on it.
I think it's Shane Carter.
Okay.
Yep.
Yes. I really got more of a question, like you know, like the writing part, right? Like, let's say you writing and you just get stuck somewhere, like like, and what I mean by you get stuck somewhere, you just don't know what else to write, or like you know, you just writing and then suddenly you just get, I think they call it writer's block, or like writer's block, or you just don't know exactly what to write. Like, I don't know what's some things that you find helpful to like overcome that.
I love that question, Shane. I get there all the time, and it's so frustrating. And it's really good that you brought that up. I think there are a lot of things that you can do individually, and then there are things you can do by engaging help, right? Anytime you feel stuck, it's a great idea to change the venue, right? If we're stuck and we're writing, we're sitting at a table writing by hand, or we're sitting at our desk, we're writing on the computer. Often a really good way to get you out of that stuck place is to just kind of do something different. Take a break, even do something that that changes your body chemistry for a little bit. Do a little exercise, take a shower, do something that changes your heart rate, changes your engagement with the world. Sometimes that stuff will change the way that we're thinking, and will just shake some ideas loose. That's a simple possibility, right? Another possibility is if you feel stuck, and like if you're stuck and you're on deadline, like you've got a due date in a couple hours, call somebody and talk it out with that person. If it's, you can feel free to call me. You can call one of your coaches. You can call another tutor if you've got access to that, and just say, hey, I'm thinking about this thing. Can you think of any ideas about how I might move forward? I feel a little stuck. So that can work. And that's actually a really good time to talk with a tutor. Tutors can help quite a lot with that. And another thing, if you don't have access to that, if you're kind of pinned down, you feel like you're in a foxhole, you don't really feel like you've got access to outside resources, but you still need to get unstuck. This sounds weird, but try asking yourself questions. Ask yourself all the questions that you think you need to answer, and try it out loud. Try saying, oh, I'm writing this paper. This is me. This is the way I would do it, right? I'd say, Pat, you're writing this paper about the history of Arbery Arboretum. And you know that this was something that was built by the Cope family. You need to be able to explain who the Cope family is. Have you done that yet? Let me see. Let me write what I've done about the Cope family. What do I know about the Cope family? I'm going to write that down now. And I'll just write down what I know about the Cope family, because I know I need to do that. And then I'll say, okay, what else do I need to do, Pat? I need to explain how it is that today is different from the old time in this arboretum. Have I done that yet? No, I haven't done that yet. Let me write down the ways that I know that it's different. So I might not be actually getting to the thing that I'm stuck about, but I'm getting to other things. And once you put down other ideas, you might be able to see a way past your sticking point. It's a little indirect, but it often helps me when I get stuck, is to talk it out, ask myself questions, and to write what you can write, even if you can't get yet to what you want to write. Does that make some sense?
Yes, sir, it do.
Okay, cool. So again, tutors can help at this stage, and they can help at any stage along the way. But if we follow this think, plan, write, read, revise process, you'll begin to see new windows for how to go forward, and new windows for how to get tutors to help you move forward. So I want you to know too that there are actually quite a lot of kinds of writing help at CCP. And this is true of many colleges, but it's definitely true at CCP. And there's probably more help at CCP than any of us have seen in our high school experience. So this is an advantage. And I want you all to get used to using this advantage. Okay, so there's me at the CME. I can help you and would love to help you with your writing. There are your coaches. I'm sure they would want to help you and definitely can help you with your writing. There's also the Learning Lab at CCP. And this is a big writing resource because it's available from about 9 in the morning until 8 in the evening every day, not every weekday. And on Friday, 9 to 4, I think it's 9 to 4. And then on Saturday, something like 10 to 3. So that's a ton of open space writing help that you can access. Now it does fill up. So you wanna get used to making appointments. And tomorrow when we meet, I'll show you how to do that. But that's a big resource there that you can use as well. Then of course, there's your professor. Your professor will be less available, but you can still use your professor for help, especially if you can email that person and set times up to talk, or if that person has office hours. Your classmates, again, there's limitations there, but they can still be helpful. And then there's also tutor.com, which is a for-profit tutoring website, and they do charge for their work, for their help, except if they're available through one of your courses in Canvas. So the only way I would recommend that you use tutor.com is that way. And not all courses will have tutor.com availability, but if they do, you'll see a button inside the Canvas page for your course. And if that's an availability, one thing that's nice about tutor.com, if you can get to it through your course, is they're open 24 hours a day. So if you've got a paper that's due on midnight, and many of them will be, and you can't get a hold of me because I'm asleep, because like I said, I'm 50 years old, or you can't get a hold of a Learning Lab because they're closed, but you do have a tutor.com access, you can make a tutor.com appointment at 11 o'clock at night. I don't advise that you do put stuff off that long, but sometimes that happens, right? So it's great to be aware of these things. And to give you a sense of how much that help is, this is just a sort of sample week, right? If we imagine you get a paper that's assigned on a Monday and due on a Friday at midnight. On any given week, this is about how much help is here on campus. There's about 72 hours of writing help available on campus during that week. About 132 hours available if you include access to tutor.com. So that's a ton of help possibility anyway. And that means that you've got an option to be engaging with assistance along the way to help develop your writing. It makes sense to do this early and not leave it at the end, because if you leave it at the end, then that huge amount of help it's gone, right? It's only what's left at the very end that we can access. So you might wind up feeling like this guy, right? You get an assignment on Monday and you feel pretty good because there's a whole week to do it, but you don't really feel in the mood. Down here, we've got Deadpool not really feeling in the mood to access to do his writing during the week. Finally, on Friday, he feels like, I really got to do it. And then he gets that writing block that we were just talking about, and he feels like his brain's just toast, right? Happens to all of us. We can avoid it though if we start early. So a better plan is to use this think, write, read, revise approach to your assignment and apply that rhythm, think, write, read, revise, to the whole week. So it might look like this. Monday is your thinking day. Tuesday and Wednesday are your writing days. Thursday is a reading day. So you get to a tutor like me and you have me read your work. And then we talk about what I found. And then Friday becomes your revision day. And throughout this week, there's a sample of where I might meet with people, right? You talk for 10 minutes with some classmates on Monday. You think about it for a little while by yourself, or you think about it with me for a little while on Monday, come up with a strategy. Then on Tuesday, you start writing that strategy, maybe at 2 or 3 times during the day on Tuesday, 2 or 3 times during the day on Wednesday. And then by Thursday, you've got a pretty decent draft with an ending. You give that draft to me on Thursday, I read it. I give you some very specific feedback. Then on Friday, you've got the whole day to revise according to my feedback, and you're not pushing yourself up against a deadline. So if we think of that assignment period between the time we get an assignment and the time the assignment due as a think, write, read, and revise period, that's really going to improve all of our writing. It's going to be true for any time you do that. I guarantee you it will help you write. I want to just review the basics. These are things I'm going to talk with you about a million times, but just to review it, we're all writers. Writing's big in college. We've got that claim, evidence, and explanation of proof structure for most of our college writing. Claim, evidence, explanation of proof is how it's mostly structured. We all need practice to understand that structure. We can all use help to improve that practice. And as we do this work, we want to follow the process of think, write, read, revise for each assignment. And we want to work your tutoring help into that process. And if we start early, we can get all this stuff done, meaning as soon as you get an assignment, start making a plan about how you're going to do this process, this think, write, read, revise process. So that is all that I had prepared for you in terms of a PowerPoint, but I'm happy to talk about any ideas that people might have or questions that people might have. So it's a little bit dense, but again, we're going to talk about this a million times. Does anybody have any thoughts or questions?
And before we get to questions, I'm going to stop the recording just to respect everyone's questions and privacy. So thank you again, Professor Cobbs. Everyone stay here, but we're ending the video now. So
absolutely.